Anu was angry and shouted, "Socio, this guy the first will kill you." Nung Yak's soul turned to stone and cried, "Kendo master." That day everyone gathered at Hasa Citadel. Everyone's nose bled at the thought to see the beauties dancing. They screamed, "I was about to die," and the goddess Mausoleum also came to participate in the dance festival. Yom Nong goddess Mausoleum Unsohi Socio lady working together to dance like a dream, okay. Then the three beauties came out on stage. All with fairy-like beauty. The audience felt hot all over. Unsohi so graceful. Socio the clumsy lady looks so cute. The goddess danced to this new song, it really makes people go to heaven. The cuckoo looks at this scene and is speechless. These disciples pamper Yopiyong to no end. Ruren returned to the ancient city and didn't see him doing anything. It was Nung Yak's soul that they left to make him happy. Join this dancing festival. Then the cuckoo looked up at the sky. It started to take off and fly away. It just flew away, but there was an explosion behind it that made it startle and fly a little slower. It just turned into a grilled bird. Below, Oyang Noe looked at this 1-to-1 ratio doll with Yom Nong and ran out of dipping sauce. She said, because the first place prize of a 1-to-1 ratio doll with Yom Nong is crazy. Tomorrow is the new year. Let's go back to the sect and celebrate Tet with everyone. At this moment, Onmyo Master Mok Bua Nong walked up and asked my sister if she had ever been intimate with you. Oyang Noe answered her master. Telling me to change my job to become a gunmaster or something is too violent. I feel like my sisters are all avoiding me. And the disciples are working hard with the monsters. Yopiyong closed his eyes again and rested on the tree. He was truly a good master. Oyang Noe looked at his master and wondered where he caught so many monsters. Scaring people to death. Seeing them swinging around. On my OG master Mok Bua Nong must speak up. You guys stop talking. I'm about to not be able to last. Mok Bua Nong saw that, so he used his bow and arrows and told his master to ask me to kill Yopiyong with one shot and do my best to train them like that. But Oyang Noe said that she still feels that our master trained us to destroy the world. Then Mok Bua Nong shot the arrow. Mok Bua Nong used the soul-destroying bow to shoot the arrow to that doll. Her arrow went straight through over the doll's head like a skewer of fragrant grilled meat. Immediately the doll's head exploded. Yopiyong was on the tree meeting the Duke but was also woken up by the explosion. Seeing that they had finished dealing with Yopiyong said, "Okay, then let's go. Tomorrow is the new year, then come back early today." Oyang Noe replied, "Master, tomorrow is the new year, then can I tell you my wish in advance?" Yopiyong didn't expect her to be so impatient. He said, "So early?" Who would have thought that Oyang Noe would want to replace her sister as her master's bear? She replied, "Of course, my New Year's wish can only be fulfilled by my master, and I hope that my master will not lead my sister to cause trouble. Master, if you feel lonely, you can find me at any time and I will definitely satisfy you. After all, I have been studying this 18-form paradise book for a year." Yopiyong also wanted to scream when he heard that. You always say something so trivial. But in your heart you think, "I like it." But Yopiyong doesn't care much. You decide to leave. Everyone is still waiting for us to celebrate Tet together. Namu transition is in Hasa City Deung Un store to sell demon cores. Namu shows off his multi-level talent selling demon cores to make money, and she said, "Okay, this is our Mu Jong Gook Demon Core 1000.000. The shop owner looked at the pile of demon cores and was startled. He said it wasn't a problem. He really didn't know where Miss Nam got so many from. Seeing his doubts, Namu quickly explained that it was all a result. The training sisters of the nuns quickly paid. Yes. After hearing the explanation, the shop owner also obediently gave us the money. He said, "But today, Miss Nam offered an honest price. Unlike usual, she peeled off several layers of our skin. Namu paid." His words, "Tomorrow is the new year. Nothing is more important than celebrating Tet with the master. My words for you guys." After the sale, Namu returned to Mugook main hall. This time everyone is gathering to prepare celebrating the new year. Yopiyong saw that many of his disciples had arrived, so he said, "Enough people have come. Let's start the party." Everyone has finished preparing. Yopiyong asked before eating if everyone wanted to say their New Year's wishes. Hearing Yopiyong say that, all the disciples were nervous and waiting for his answer. Namu stood up and said, "We all want to listen to the master's advice." His eldest disciple voiced his master's wishes, which must include the whole world. Didn't expect Yopyong to make a wish. I hope next year the author of Yom Nong can publish more books. Don't ask for a break all the time. Hearing your wish, the bird also said no. Then Anu, quickly just tell me your wish. My New Year's wish is to be able to be with Master Mok Bua Nong forever. And I also say, next. His disciples said in unison that they hoped to be by their master's side forever. But there were still some of Yopyang's disciples who wished for nothing. For example, Socio wished to please let me get married soon with flowers. Go with master. Oyang Noe girl is even more outstanding. I hope that senior sister's path to Kendo will always be smooth. I hope that master can see me as a replacement for the dedicated sister. This time the sun starting to go down the mountain. The birds were also preparing to return to their nests. The sky was getting dark and fireworks were being launched. Yopyong and his disciples invited each other out to watch the fireworks display. Anu excitedly said, look at the fireworks display, then the new year has come. Outside at a roadside restaurant, Jeongu, monk Bombseo and a boy are sitting together. The boy said it's a pity that sect master Yopi has to go with his disciple to join the meeting of the 4 heavenly kings. Yom Nong can only be 3 and 1. Then monk Bombseo scolded that sect leader Yopi. He's as beautiful as a cloud and we're lonely and cold. The landlord saw this and reminded them to drink wine. On the other side, little rabbit Dongbang Seong was also watching fireworks. The little girl looked up at the sky and told her younger brother. Seeing Yopyang's face, he screamed at the swallow again. The Yomyong hunters were immediately beaten to death. She remembered that a year ago Yopyong took Baek Bai up to the roof to watch the fireworks. He told her to come up to celebrate the new year, especially to take you out to enjoy the breeze. It must have been this time of year after this. It's still just the 2 of us sitting here watching the fireworks. Hearing that, Baek Bai sulked and said, I don't want the 2 of us to watch the fireworks. I found you boring, so I reluctantly watched it with you. But she blushed shyly. Later there she quietly grabbed Yopyang's shirt. At that time in the demon forest suddenly appeared a group of giant titans. The princess's subordinates said that the giants in this forest are very scary, your highness, the princess we have, I must have lost my way. Hearing that, the princess scolded him for talking nonsense. Being locked in this forest for several days and still needing you to tell me? The group of people believed in Google Maps for directions. So now they're all lost. Bald saw this and got angry and said, this devilish place is completely different from Dae Mok, we are surrounded by trees. Then he got angry in a roadside tree and punched him, then said, where is that Mu Jong gook? My subordinate. When the princess saw the bald head so angry, she said calmly, and must remember that this time we came to Hasa City. The most important thing is to ask for help, Mu Jong gook. Bald head is angry, so he speaks loudly. Mu Jong gook has protected our imperial army for thousands of years and heard that they have long been weakened, and we have had more than one sleep without contacting them. Really will help us overcome this crisis? Bald head remembers the demons in his homeland and says that the ancient demon army deep within Dae Mok is about to revive the monarch-level ancient demon about to descend on the end of the world. Dae Mok is coming. Public God calmly replied that we have no other choice. Praying for help, Mu Jong gook, is our last resort. Suddenly they discovered someone ahead. It turned out to be Yopyong sitting under a tree reading a book comfortably. It's best to say that there's no one alone in the forest watching the newly released Yom Nong 7. Yopyong thought his existence wouldn't be discovered by anyone but Yeon gook, and the others saw him gone. One of the princess's subordinates said, this person has no cultivation level. Why is he in this forest full of demons? The bald man said that he must have lost his way locked in here. Such a person has no value. No need to pay attention to him. While the subordinates were still gossiping with each other, the princess stepped forward to ask little brother Yopyong if he had lost his way. Are you locked in here? Why don't you come with us? We can protect you. Let's leave. Hearing what she said, Yopyong wondered why she had to leave. The princess still gently replied that there were demons everywhere. If you're not careful, you'll be killed. You can't walk because you've been locked in here for many days and have no strength left. Right? Amok shares a little of our dried meat with little brother. Yopyong was about to refuse at first but just smelled it. His attitude changed as quickly as flipping a rice paper. Yopi-Yang couldn't stand it anymore and said, "It's so fragrant. I'll go with you." After dragging Yopi-Yang along, the princess told everyone to persevere a little longer. "We're about to leave. Get out of this forest, Hasa is finished." Yopi-Piano took the dried meat. "You decided to repay them by showing them the way to Hasa Citadel. You said, isn't Hasa Citadel in that direction?" Princess heard that and told the truth. "Why go there? Look, but Amok told you that we can trust him, princess." The princess saw him say that and said, "You find someone else so I can trust him." Bald head don't trust him very much. He said, "I saw him just as to take away our food. Besides, in this forest, he is a burden, only dragging our feet." Suddenly, as they were walking, there was a huge noise in the forest. Seeing that, the princess grabbed Yopi-Yang's hand tightly and pulled her away. She shouted loudly to run away. Right after that, the brainless titans began to appear, chasing them. The group quickly hid behind a large tree to observe. Observing the situation, Yopi-Yang suddenly spoke up and asked what was going on. The princess quickly told him not to talk. At this time, the unlucky giants were looking for traces of their prey. After looking for a while and finding nothing, they decided to. When the princess saw that, she breathed a sigh of relief and told them to leave. Unexpectedly, right after that, a slightly overzealous mewing titan appeared and smiled at them. The princess screamed when she encountered such a horror. Cried loudly. The titan's face suddenly looked like he had seen a ghost. He stared at Yopi-Yang's stupid face. Seeing Yopi-Yang's face, he screamed at the swallow again. Then the whole group of titans ran away. They ran faster than the speed of light to run into the forest to hide. Yopi-Yang took the dried meat while thinking about their accomplices. "After being killed by me, they remembered me, and it seemed they weren't too stupid. Amok was by my side and witnessed it, but he was taken by surprise. He wondered and ran away." The bald guy didn't believe it either and said they had all run away again. Amok was dumbfounded and stammered, saying maybe they were full and just came to scare people. Only the princess realized that they were obviously scared. What terrible thing was scaring them? Suddenly she discovered that Yopi-Yang had gone ahead without an appointment. She called out, "Bookworm, don't run away, okay?" Then they went deeper into the forest. Yopi-Yang led them to a place and said, "Okay, then come here, follow this road for about 3 more hours, then you can leave the forest to Hasa City." "Saw you say that?" the princess asked curiously. "Why aren't you coming with us?" Yopi-Yang bluntly replied, "No. I have to go back to read the books." Listen, Amok also had to admire this bookworm. He must have read the books to the point of being stupid. Nature in front of his eyes. Suddenly there was a huge explosion. Hunter Yo-Myong suddenly appeared. This monster is not your average, it has the power to destroy the whole village. Amok looked at the monster and wanted all his limbs to fall off. He told us that we were discovered by the hunter Yo-Myong and that this one secret creature that fell in love could destroy an entire village. While the bald head stood up and told me to. The bald head immediately put all his power into it. On his punch, he used the open sky halberd to punch the monster in the face. But his punch did nothing to it. Even the bald head also realized that the normal blow was useless. Hunter Yo-Myong caught forced to fight quickly and quickly win. He can only consume his true essence and use forbidden moves. Then he used natural fate and blood to drill this monster with his punches. Finally the monster was defeated. The bald head punched him until it burst. Now his eyes and nose were bleeding. The bald head secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said it was over. The princess was happy to see that and said he was saved. Amok spoke up. "Luckily, there was a mountain family. Attack first and sacrifice yourself to destroy this extremely dangerous Yo-Myong hunter." Suddenly there was a huge noise erupting, followed by a series of Yo-Myong hunters appearing. The princess saw this immediately standing up to block Yopi-Yang. She shouted at once. Nearly 100 hunters appeared. "Yo-Myong, nerd, you have to follow closely behind me." But as the male lead of a stallion story, how dare Yopi-Yang let such a pretty girl go? Stood up to block him, so he decided to take action. Yopi-Yang created a circle and summoned a level 100 primary weapon. The Yo-Myong hunters were immediately beaten to death. One by one they were attacked, lightning struck and burned them to ashes. Then all the hunters immediately exploded. Yopi-Yang was now alone floating in midair. The princess blankly looked at Yopi-Yang. "You said that little brother is a bookworm so strong. The bald man was so scared by his strength that his face turned pale. He clasped his hands in sincerity. God had an epiphany that I have eyes but can't see. Please forgive me. Yopi Yong didn't answer him, but turned around and left before leaving. He told them to remember the road we just had to leave before dark. The princess looked at his back and was moved. After a while Yin Gook and the others reached Mu Jong. The princess told them to wear even though we have never met. We received Younguk's supplies every year. We welcome them as the second senior sister. She politely said thank you Yin Gook. If there is anything we will definitely do our best. Master. I'll take everyone to see the senior sister first. Looking at the politeness of the second senior sister, the princess thought to herself that although Mu Jong has deteriorated, he is still very polite. At this moment they passed by some of Mu Jong's disciples. Are practicing. The bald head looks at them weakly and disdainfully now. Mu Jong only has these weak female disciples left. The second senior sister gently replied that they were not weak. They were all pointed out by their master and went bald. Still maintaining their point of view. The weak are the weak. Even the gods cannot teach them to be like a child who only needs one stock. My feathers are already tickled to death. Saw the bald head explode so loudly Anu couldn't hold back any longer and asked the great monk for a solo bet. Let's compete and see. My husband shook his head and said no. No. I'll withdraw my strength. I'll kill you if I do it. The princess also stood up and said that it's okay to just try and not hurt your life. Then she secretly thought that Pa Mu has fallen so bad that we can't even practice. If they refuse, they will feel very embarrassed. Seeing the princess said that, the bald head had to agree. Before starting the bald head boasted that my power is very scary even if I muster all my strength to do it. If you hit you will be seriously injured. Be careful. Anu saw him explode and replied that you can't touch me. Just starting the match. The bald head launched an attack towards Anu. But the girl quickly avoided his attack. Seeing that she hadn't eaten yet, the bald girl angrily said that the speed was really fast but she could only dodge it and in the end it was difficult to escape. Unexpectedly right after that the girl appeared right behind him. Then Anu made a few turns of the bald head. He was stunned because he couldn't keep up with the girl's actions. Right after that the piece of fabric on his clothes his body was thrown into the air. Anu leisurely said that he had given in, while the bald head was covering his body with his hands. The bald head only then realized that he didn't even have his belt anymore. I had to stand to cover him and told the senior to quickly change into my clothes while the second sister and the princess shyly had to turn away. Bald head took Amuk's shirt and wrapped it into a loincloth and said the speed was just. He was still not convinced but stared at the stone lion and said that strength is the true proof of the strong. Look at me. Finished speaking he ran back and picked up the lion with a reminder it up. He was also tired. He opened his mouth tremblingly, telling lies that this was the true hero with the power to destroy heaven and earth. But the stone lion suddenly flew into the air, making him gasp. All my eyes were watching. Namu stood on high and calmly told me I just wanted to go down the mountain to do business and make some money. But the master forced me to practice my powers. Namu with an expressionless face she held out her hand and said it was really boring. Later then she showed the bald head her skills and with just one blow, the stone lions were broken. But he still stubbornly said that I will not admit defeat. Our day Mok has more powerful people than that. Could summon fire. Socio unexpectedly created a giant fireball so she asked if they had something like that. At this point the bald head was convinced and knelt down. Tell the saint that he can summon the sun. Please come with me to rescue Daemok. I'm willing to be a buffalo and a horse for him. At this time the second sister explained that this was just Socio's fireball training technique. The first sister is still waiting for us. Then she'd tell them to come over here. Amuk sees this and wonders if Mu Jong has fallen into decline. Boss, why do you teach so many terrifying powerhouses? This sect master is not ordinary. 10,000 Beasts master sister told everyone the purpose of your coming here. I already understand this. There is no problem. Princess, can you really lend it to me if I can believe it? Senior sister told them master wasn't here but he was very generous. Please come inside with me. Then she led them away. Through a cellar. Unexpectedly, when they entered the cave, there was no longer a magical beast. Seeing that, the cuckoo had to speak up and say that there was no longer even a giant beast, and the princess was also surprised and said, "No, what should Mu Jong do with the beast de Mok? Can he only destroy everything?" The princess remembered the divine beast De Bung and told De Bung to protect De Mok, who has grown old to the point of not being able to fight anymore, and originally wanted to rely on him. Mu Jong's beast. Nung Yak's soul said that Princess De Mok is facing a 1,000-year disaster. Muguk could have helped, but the master is not here, so we can only go back to De Mok on our own. Recently, the master is refining and making weapons out of very powerful magic weapon that the princess can bring back in advance just in case. Hearing that, the princess happily said okay. Then she led everyone to get the magic weapon. Nung Yak's soul brought a box and gave it to the princess. Look at the princess looking at the pig-killing knife in front of her and speechless. But she stammered and said that this is the intermediate martial arts weapon you mentioned. Seeing the princess holding the knife, Nung Yak's soul explained, "This knife is the first time the master has tried it, so he can't control the power well. It's too great. It's not suitable for everyday weapons and can easily injure innocent people. But in a great disaster, it can probably be used twice. Amok, no, if you believe it. It's a myth. Why did you use a knife to cut vegetables to trick us?" Having a bald head also felt like being slapped with cold water. He got angry and said, "Look at us. We're a bunch of rustic people who haven't learned anything yet." Nung Yak's soul remembered the time when his master used this knife and caused a piece of ground to collapse. Yopi Yong looked at the knife in his hand and said, "Damn, it was a bit too much to practice for the first time, and this thing can't be used on a normal day." The princess awkwardly took the knife to kill the pig and thanked Mu Jong for his good intentions. She said that the situation on Damak's side was getting worse and worse. "We had to go back first." Nung Yak's soul didn't hold them back either. She said to be careful on the road. Kidney. The princess's subordinates saw that this knife was harmful, so they were annoyed and said they were bullying people too much. "We always give things to Mu Jong, but in the end, they gave us this bald head." Seeing that, they started to explode again. "If this vegetable knife works, I will eat it right away." Back in Mu Jong, Yopi Yong has returned to hold a conference with his disciples. But due to his long-time passion for gossip, the first thing Yopi Yong said was that if nothing happened to you guys, our date should end. Hearing this, the songbird was extremely angry and immediately gave Yopi Yong a kick in the face and scolded the songbird. "It's not you who summoned everyone to discuss Damak's rescue. How can you see the tyranny of the songbird?" Yopi Yong rubbed his face and explained, almost forgetting the order. Sect card Mu Jong, we were lost by the old sect master in Yian Guk, and then the world competition a year later also needed this card. Looks like we have to go to De Mok for a trip. When he heard those words, Nung Yak's soul stood up and took responsibility for Yian Guk. The disciple went to Yian Guk to help and retrieve the sect's token. Seeing that the disciple's proposal was reasonable, Yopi Yong immediately agreed to let her go to Yian Guk. He said, "Then Yak's soul should go to De Mok alone to practice." Yopi Yong started reminding me 3 days later. "We'll take a few disciples into Damak's special held training. Last time you guys came, even Ma Ju couldn't beat you. You must train a bit. Yak's soul, you leave immediately. We will then gather at the royal capital." Yian Guk and his disciples responded in unison. After Yopi Yong finished saying those words, the songbird also told me to remind him that this time the army of ancient demons is about to revive. Not only will Damak's doomsday also be the world's doomsday. Humanity must be treated with caution. The songbird said that this time you guys go to De Mok. It's a big responsibility. After saying those words, the songbird turned to the side and intended to remind him a few words. But because Yopi Yong knew that the story the bird said was a bit far-fetched, he went into hiding. The songbird witnessed this scene and became extremely angry and loudly asked about Yopiang's 18 generations of ancestors. Yopiang's middle name is destined to run away every time there is a meeting. You are no longer a part-timer. After cursing, everyone immediately carried out the mission as discussed the next day. Yopi Yong and his disciples also started going to the wild west of De Mok. But this father also overdid it and thought, why did he arrest the demon brought a level to destroy the city to pull his cart? But as they walked, they shouted loudly that Damak's trading team has departed. No one else should bother. Witnessing this scene, the top public figures couldn't stop swaying. Right? What kind of background does this sect leader of Mu Jong have? Meanwhile, only the sled dog is the most puzzled that I'm a fierce dog of the city destroying level and used to pull the sled of this sect master. Really do it. In the car, Yopi Yang comfortably said that it's true. Don't say it's stable in the desert. Socio brought up a plate of grapes and told the master to taste these cold grapes. In the car, Yopi Yang was reading the story Yom Nong just so Socio seriously feeding her with fruit. Yopi Yang is so happy. Socio even used special ice magic to deal with it. Seeing Socio's dedication, Yopi Yang replied that eating cold food on a summer day is really memorable. Came to the real world. Witnessed this scene, the top public figures became even more bitter. They began to gossip about the great prestige of the leader of a small sect. What kind of background did the surrounding beauties seem to be in a hurry? Going on the road was like going on a trip. But while they were still talking to each other, suddenly Oyang Noe and Anu brought out hot goods, threatening them. What should they look at? Look at someone approaching the monk without permission. I will use my knife and gun to serve that person. When he heard that threat, the bald old man immediately spoke up. This person basically has no level of intelligence and uses God Yeop's name to brag everywhere. His previous reputation must have been created by Nung Yak Soul on his behalf. Business people like us understand these methods best. As soon as they finished saying those words, Namu appeared from behind and was talking behind my master's back about Big Liga's shop. When she finished saying that, she immediately took out Emperor Yunguk's token and told me to look at it. It's clear that this is an order from Emperor Yin Guk. Do you guys in Damak have the right to do business at Liga's store yet? When they heard that, the top public figures were scared and begged endlessly. Your Majesty, please apologize. They all know that Queen Namu in the business world is indeed ruining other people's lives every second of the day. While she was still working hard, Yopi Yang spoke up to help them escape. Going this time, everyone along with the trading team went to Yin Guk. It's considered fate. Let them go. Don't make me lose my interest in reading. After hearing Yopyang's words, the Namu girl immediately acted obediently, knowing that the disciple already knew and left. When he saw these things, the young shop owner was extremely angry because he thought Yopi Yang dared to bully the goddess Namu. His subordinate, he still has more fuel and fire. I really don't think the queen would serve such a clingy man like that. His subordinates continued to flatter the young master that he had to be very careful when talking to her, not even daring to provoke her with a single word. But this Yopi Duong arbitrarily ordered the queen. But she was also very it's fun. Baek Jian is even angrier. He says that the woman I can't have is for him to dictate. We must deal with this guy. Because he thought so, he used his superior IQ to plot. I have observed that this man clinging to skirts only sleeps alone at night. Until then I will arrest him deep in the desert, then use some tricks that will probably make him cry and runny. Then force him to give me Namu's bust certificate like that. Then the more he thinks about it, the more inhumane he will laugh. The name belongs to his subordinates saw this and said that the young master was indeed wise. The person who complimented him Baek Jian laughed even louder. More. That night Yopyang's group stopped in the desert to rest. They started a fire to grill meat while eating. Anu told Yopi Yang master to eat a little at night, if not enough to bring this dog roasts when he hears what she says. The dog also howled at the swallow. But while it was still howling, suddenly Socio went behind Yopi Yang and massaged him. She asked the master if he felt comfortable. She added wind magic to feel it softer. After hearing that, Yopi Yang also replied that the magic that the teacher taught you has finally been used so flexibly. Then Namu stepped forward and told the master that your tent and bed were done and the potty was also washed clean and prepared. After that, all masters can rest at any time. Yopi Yang stretched and said that in Damak, keeping up with the road is really difficult. Let's go to sleep first. His disciples said in unison to say goodbye to their master. When they heard what Namu did to Yopi Yang, the young leader of Baek Jian became even angrier. Moreover, he scolded and asked the queen to wash his bedpan. Baek Jian was angry and trembling as he said that I was not only the young master of the sleeping court shop but also the disciple of So Wolyang's president. He was so angry that his eyes were already burning. I swear to myself that I will let Yopi Yang know white tofu noodles go with shrimp paste. He secretly thought to himself. Mu Jong's white face. Tonight I will let you open your eyes a little to the cruel world. That night everyone was fast asleep. Baek Jian broke into Yopiang's room and tied him up and let him go. When he caught the person he felt it was too easy, so he chuckled in his heart and caught him. Then the white-faced guy was indeed easy to catch. But there was something he just thought at this point. Suddenly his back became lighter. Yopi Yang jumped off his back and asked my brother, "What did you want to do when you brought me out here so late at night?" When Baek Jian heard what you asked, he immediately asked, "I wonder if my hand slipped just now?" After that, he immediately took a piece of Namu's bust paper and said, "Okay. I have something good I want to let you sign so much of your female disciple. It's okay to give me one Namu, right?" Hearing this, Yopi Yang was quite bitter and scolded him. "What are you talking about?" Baek Jian was not afraid but also threatened. "You still dare to be stubborn. Now you're in the wilderness and there's no one to help you, white-faced guy." Then he raised his hand to hit Yopi Yang and he didn't even forget to threaten. "It seems like he has to let you know some of the benefits. You clearly knew what was going on. But before you could do anything, Yopi Yang slapped Baek Jian in the face. Then both his body and the paper lay down on the ground. He turned around with a bloody face wondering to you. Seeing that, Yopi Yang approached him and told you something, but you still don't understand the situation. You saw that he still didn't know his fate, so he gave you another shot and didn't forget to tell you to stay awake a little longer. With just one blow, Yopi Yang sent Baek Jian flying through the mountains. After a while he stopped. Finally Baek Jian sat with his entire jaw and groaned on the ground. Yopi Yang came closer to him and faced him. But Baek Jian was still fearless and pulled out a knife and said that the white-faced guy was the one who forced me to kill you. He put the knife to his neck and said that this is So Wolyang's moon-devouring knife to destroy mountains and abysses. Countless depths of secret love have all been cut to death under this knife. When he finished cutting these words, Yopi Yang then raised his hand and squeezed it once. And his sword only had the right belt left. When he saw Yopi Yang easily break his sword, he was stunned. Yopi Yang asked him, "Are you sure you want to resist?" Baek Jian was then frightened and immediately knelt down and begged for forgiveness and promised. From now on in his life, he will only be a vegetarian. Seeing that, Yopi Yang immediately asked him to sign a body-selling paper as compensation for his mental loss. He said so. He must sign this body-selling paper. Take it with you wherever you go. Looks like you've used this dirty trick to hurt a lot of people. Because you were so scared. You probably did the same thing. Baek Jian trembled as he signed. But he still didn't forget to whisper, "Big brother, I was wrong. Hey, I will definitely be a worse person." But because this guy has an evil mind, he plotted to sneak attack Yopi Yang. He secretly thought that he had to be patient a bit when he returned. He would find an opportunity to settle accounts with Mu Jong. Until then he would depose the sect leader. Mu Jong collected all his disciples as cards. After signing, Baek Jian gave the paper to Yopi Yang and told Big Brother, "I have signed it. Please check it." Yopi Yang took it and complimented him very well. But life is not, it was a dream that as soon as he signed the paper, Yopi Yang also killed him. "You said if you signed this paper, your life would already be mine. Then you left and said now take it." It was also very reasonable to go. The next day when it was dawn, Namu brought food for Yopi Yang to eat. But while eating, my father still criticized Namu for her breakfast. But compared to little you, he's still a lot worse. Namu. But he gently told his master that in the future I will definitely learn cooking skills from Junior Anu. Seeing that, Yopi Yang also told her to fight. Heard what Yopi Yang said. The top public figure was so angry that the woman in the business world, Queen Namu, hates doing housework the most, but could do so many things for him. Without any resentment or anything. "Don't stop me. I'll go kill that white-faced master." Seeing that, Namu spoke up. "That's right. The name of the sleeping young master of the store that caused trouble to you this morning has appeared. The body appeared on the sand and didn't bother the master when he woke up last night. Right?" Yopi Yang said she was okay. I slept very well. Hearing that, the public figures were scared pale. One of them told the young master to sleep. True is also the president's disciple of So Wal Jong. So it's not right to go and hit people. After all, I'm also an elegant person. When they were still chatting happily, suddenly Socio also went to Yopiang's place to start releasing. The girl said good morning. Where are Master Yu and Ouyang? Yopi Yang replied that they are going to train. Socio just said that I want to go to training, but before she could say anything, Yopi Yang took a piece of paper. It says that your training is to read magic theory and magic formulas. That big fireball can't even handle the Ma Ju level. I need to help you level up. Listen to what the master said. Ma Ju is like a bunch of harmless grass. Socio also wants to cry until her tears run out. She said tiredly, but when I read a book, I have a headache and want to go to sleep. Teacher, can I not study? Yopi Yang immediately started studying. Where did that trick come from? Read the book well tomorrow. I'll check it out. After a while of swinging, she also came up with an idea and said okay. If you learn it tomorrow, the teacher can reward me. 1 hour. Not in this 1 hour. I can ask my master to do anything to me. When Yopi Yang heard this proposal, he also accepted it. Hurry down. I agree with you. As long as you meet the standards. It's okay. Socio still asked petulantly. But Ouyang, where did they go when they saw you being easily seduced by beautiful girls? Namu was extremely bitter at her. This is very necessary, little sister Yu. Then she went to Socio's place and said that this matter must be kept a secret. I can only tell master you want to go to Yian Gook to quell the apocalypse. It's just related to survival, the life and death of countless human beings. So it is necessary to conquer the great forces in Daemok. You idiot. You won't understand if you talk too much. When he saw Namu Socio's attitude, he shouted at her that she has a very smart mind. Why are you at most just my master's advisor? From now on, I will be your teacher. Hearing this, Namu was like stepping on the tail and shouting back at the master. How can I do that? The master didn't say to limit it to only one master. Then the two of them continued to argue back and forth. Namu scolded this stupid woman. He still wanted to monopolize his master, and Socio cursed back that he doesn't like money-grubbing people like you. Yopi Yang stood there watching helplessly. He couldn't understand why they were so hot. It must be because Daemok's weather was too hot. But somewhere nearby Anu met a group of bandits. She told them, that's right, I'm just a monk passing by here. I mean, little girl, what do you want to do? The bandits said that then your luck is too bad and you will encounter the bandits' territory. Boss, our favorite thing is to eat the pure blood of humanity like that. Their words angered Anu. Her face darkened, then said that your luck is not bad. You are indeed desert bandits that the demon group master forced us to find. Seeing her attitude, a bandit did not take it anymore and decided to teach her a lesson. How can this stupid student still laugh? First break off all her limbs and bring them back. Then with just a few strokes of the sword, Anu has butchered them one by one. She finished her mission, then looked back in a faraway direction and said that these bandits have indeed become a habit of killing people and then strike quickly after finishing the deal. Take goats to cook for the master to eat. The master will definitely be very happy. Suddenly the girl behind him appeared. A group of bandits appeared, howling and insolent, killing her immediately. And then, as fast as a lightning ear, from afar, several bullets pierced their heads. They turned around to look, discovered that there was a sniper on the top of the mountain. So the reason for this was Ouyang Noe who was sniping in the distance. She looked at her shooting line and said she missed a few guys. She's still not proficient yet. Then she continued to fire a few more shots. After being supported by Ouyang Noe, Anu accelerated and jumped up. She confidently entered the bandits' den. Anu approached their den and shouted loudly, demons willing to die. Anu came closer and took a swipe. Immediately their heads fell like figs. She threw the sword out and called, Ouyang, it's your turn. Her sword destroyed the cave entrance, their nest. Then all the bandits rushed out. Anu called out, Ouyang, in this fortress there are nearly 8,000 demons relying on you. Ouyang Noe didn't say much anymore, immediately pulled out the hot goods and shot several shots at the demon's maw. Her gun shot out thousands of bullets in just one shot, puncturing their entire citadel. In the end, the Ma Ju citadel exploded. The citadel couldn't take it anymore and broke into hundreds of pieces. A loud explosion was heard. Anyu and Oyang Noe calmly stood and looked at their work. Anyu said that Oyang Noe really couldn't see that Oyang was so violent. Oyang Noe replied, I just don't like demons coming close to my body. Before they come, I must destroy it. Anyu replied, no matter what. I hope it can be handled quickly today without affecting my cooking dinner for the master. Suddenly Oyang Noe spoke up as if the target has appeared. From the fire a group of demons appeared. They said it was two humans looking for trouble. They said humans are weak. What exactly are you looking for? The two girls replied to him that we are looking for you. As soon as he came out of the yard, he immediately took a pencil and attacked the girls. He shouted loudly, I see that you are looking for death. Or rather. Then he slammed the pencil on the ground. Suddenly, Oyang Noe jumped up and pointed the gun at his head. After just one shot she sent him back to his motherland. He finally had to fall to the ground. When this guy died a piece of jade fell out. So Anyu immediately flew over to get the girl and happily told Oyang that the seal of the seal that his master needed was in his hands and cleaned it up. When he got the jade pendant Oyang Noe immediately threw 3 grenades. And the remaining group of demons died. Going to pay respects to Mr. and Mrs. Anyu spoke up and said it was finally done. Oyang Noe turned her wrist for a moment and said, Anyu, I've always wanted to ask you, do you really want to become the first chef? Anyu smiled. I smiled and said, of course. Becoming the #1 chef making dishes that make others happy forever is my dream. And this does not conflict with the fact that my master chose me to become an assassin. Anyu asked her again, what about you? Oyang, who always said he just wanted to be a normal person who silently protected his master. Oyang Noe replied that now I'm just an ordinary girl who summons guns. Wait, why do I feel like because of my master? We're going in a strange direction? At this moment, Oyang Noe wondered how the situation was with her sister. She was sent alone to the sleeping place of the ancient demon army. Somewhere nearby, there was a group of children sitting and crying non-stop at that time. Now there's a boy who said, are you afraid of that demon after bringing us here? We'll eat one person every day. When he heard this, the boy said, I'm not afraid because my idol is goddess Nung Yak Soul. I want to be brave like her. The boy asked her, are you a goddess who has practiced kendo until now and is determined to cut down all the demons in the world? They remember 11-year-old Nung Yak Soul went to Day Mok with her teacher. After the teacher cut down the great demon and lost his fighting power, she stood in front, 1 man and 1 sword, and crossed the line of life and death, killing over 100 demons in 1 day and 1 night until the great army arrived. The desert arrived in time. Her strength alone protected the people of the desert. From then on, Nung Yak Soul was the protector in the hearts of the girls in Day Mok. Suddenly a gust of wind arose and the boy felt it was coming. Then the girl stood in front of the boy and said, don't be afraid. The guardian of the ancient ghost of the ghost. This pig-faced demon looked at the children and said, it's time for breakfast again. Who are you good children today so I can stuff your teeth? The little girl grabbed a tree branch and stood in front of the group of children, shouting loudly not to eat. The ghost saw someone resisting and told the human girl, do you want to resist? The little girl firmly held the tree in her hand and replied that the goddess Lang had once said that the sword was in her hand before the last minute and absolutely must not give up. The goddess Lang had once said that humanity could never sit and wait for death. Seeing brave the girl's aura, and the children also screamed, no matter what, let's die with her, let's take a risk. Seeing that, the ghost was angry and wanted to reach out and kill them all. Suddenly a light flashed past his body. Just a moment later, the demon's arm was severed. Then the ghost eater's body suddenly exploded. It turned out that the person who came was Nung Yak Soul. Seeing that the person who came to save her was an idol, she was extremely happy and shouted, Goddess's mausoleum. The children cheered. The goddess's mausoleum has returned to Day Mok. Nung Yak Soul turned around and told the children that I am here on master's orders to exorcise Daymak's ghost-eating ghosts. You are one of the 4 demon towns. Quickly tell me where the devil is. I'll let you die comfortably. From the cloud of smoke, the ghost appears and tells me where the ancient devil is sleeping. In the sacred tone of the demon race, how could I let a lowly human being like you enter? The demon said you were just lucky enough to sneak attack me. Now I will eat your soul as punishment. Then it flies up and uses its magic. Created a giant ball that wanted to attack Nung Yak's soul. Because he saw that this guy was so stupid. Nung Yak's soul decided to kill it. Nung Yak's soul used a sword of thousands of forms and then launched several sword slashes at the demon. Devouring ghosts. Yes, her opponent was cut off after just a few shots. In the end, the monster actually exploded in the air. After killing this guy, she immediately took out a block of glass and collected his soul. I went in there. The soul of the ghost eater was immediately sucked in. Nung Yak's soul said that only with your soul could we find the sleeping place of the ancient ghost army. When the children saw that she had finished subduing that ghost eater, they knelt down and thanked the goddess for saving her life. She patted the children's heads again and told them to quickly stand up. You're very brave. Your parents will be here soon. I have other things to do, so I had to say goodbye here. Suddenly a child stood up and asked her sister, I want to ask you a question. Nung Yak's soul motioned for him to speak. The boy asked if he had a boyfriend. Haven't he heard? Nung Yak's soul was so embarrassed. The boy saw that and told the goddess Lang that she doesn't have a boyfriend. She only has one, Kendo, but Nung Yak's soul shyly turned away and said that children can't talk too much. The boy still didn't stop and even waved his hand to tell the goddess that she must find a boyfriend, that Kendo cannot bring happiness to her. Where's the woman? The little girl next to me heard that and got angry and said, What nonsense are you talking about? The little girl pinched the boy's ear and scolded him that Kendo was better than a man. The boy cried out when his hand was pinched. Nung Yak's soul flew away, thinking that the swordmaster had taken Namu and them away. Maybe they had gone to Daemok. So I had to quickly find the sleeping place of the ancient demon army. Then quickly go back to the royal capital, Yi and Gook, to practice, reunite with the master. I hope the junior sisters take good care of the master. Returned to the campsite of the Mu Jong Goop group. Anyu had just come back and was shouting loudly. What are you joking about? The little girl shouted in panic. It can't be that Socio has passed the exam already. Namu coldly told her that that was why her master had just taken her away from the trafficking team. The two of them didn't know what they had done. Hearing that, Oyang Noe also wondered what request Socio would make of his master. He heard that last time in the ancient citadel of Rurin, Socio kissed his master. Could it be that this time Anyu was shaking with anger and said no? I have to go find him? They, Oyang Noe put their chins in their hands and wondered that their master had always taken his promises seriously. He probably wouldn't refuse any request Socio made. Maybe you couldn't stop them. Socio listened, so she got even angrier and said, if I can't stop them, then I will join them. Hearing that, both Oyang Noe and Namu were speechless. But things weren't as they imagined. Socio, what Yopi Yang asked her to do was to take her to her grandfather's grave. Socio clasped her hands sincerely and said, Thank you, master, for coming here with me to worship my grandfather. Yopi Yang kindly replied that this is something I have agreed to. With you in this 1 hour, I can do anything for you. After all, you have met the standards in the exam. These past few days, you have been studying almost without sleeping, right? Socio replied that I will definitely pass. Standard, because only then can I bring my master here to meet my grandfather. Hearing that, Yopi Yang scolded her, You idiot. Socio suddenly looked down and told his grandfather what he once said. If I have someone who wants to grow old, I will definitely bring it here for you to see. So you won't have to worry anymore. A fool like you has no support left and lives in this chaotic world. Yopi Yang also looked at the tombstone and said, Socio's grandfather, rest assured that I will protect this idiot. Yopi Yang took out a handkerchief and wiped away the tears on Socio's face. Socio emotionally said that his grandfather's master is the last person who loves him the most in this world. Grandpa always told me that I must be a good wife, and I will definitely be a wife that will make my teacher live like in heaven. I will work hard to go to the kitchen to cook. But when the teacher and student were still wiping away their tears, suddenly Socio's grandfather also arrived. Socio looked at the eagle perched on a tree branch and called out Grandpa. The eagle immediately responded to her words. Socio happily showed up and said that the eagle had come too. Yopi Yang looked at the eagle and wondered about the eagle. Socio explained that yes, That year the eagle brought the baby with him. Lost in Daemok. My grandfather helped me bury my grandfather who passed away. I saved you. Every time I come to worship my grandfather will also fly here. I will report the situation to him. When she saw the falcon sitting in front of Socio, she walked over and introduced her grandfather. This is my future husband. I'll bring him here to visit you. Yopi Yong looked at the bird and said, this falcon of yours also has premonitions, right? But because he saw Yopiang's face and his words, he hated it so much that he was quite bitter. Socio stopped the eagle and said, no. My master is not weak. He can protect me just like you. Hear that Yopi Yong, he's also out of dipping sauce. He thought to himself. Unexpectedly, Socio could even understand bird sounds. Suddenly the bird pointed in one direction and spoke some language. Socio saw this and replied that if he couldn't get it, Master, I won't go get the Daemok warrior certificate or something. Even if Grandpa doesn't agree with our marriage, I'll still marry Master. Unexpectedly Yopi Yong would be interested. Coming in front of the bird says that Daemok's bravery certificate is to test the Wa-Bu of Daemok's nomadic tribe. Right? Namu told me that this time, facing the day of destruction, I need to gain the allegiance of the 4 great nomadic tribes. If I meet Wa-Bu, then I'll play around a bit and join in. The bird responded and immediately flew away, leaving it alone. Yopi Yong was angry below. Socio spoke up to explain. His grandfather said that although he was very stupid, he had courage. Then they came to a mountain covered with snow and ice. Coming here they met a group of people from the ministry lost in the 4 great nomads. A tribe member stood up to certify that we Wabu's heroes, originally outsiders, cannot participate because it is too dangerous. A reader like you cannot participate in the adventure. Then he said, but you have been protected by the eagle holy beast for Daemok for thousands of years. Introduce me. I will make an exception for you to participate. I heard him say that. Socio wondered and asked Grandpa if he was a holy beast. What about Yopi Yong? Said to check there are a total of 3 gates. The first gate is to climb up the snow mountain. Look at the group of participants who have already started jumping up. The leader said the first gate is to go collect ice crystals. Everyone has already started. I advise you not to act rashly. Let's see what the brave warriors of our tribe do first. He pointed to the terrain of the snow mountain and said that this snow mountain is extremely dangerous. The mountain terrain is dangerous and the cold air seeps into the bones. More ferocious monsters appeared. He mentioned that after reaching the top of the mountain, there were countless difficulties and dangers that had to be collected in order to collect ice crystals in a cruel environment. Ice planets are harder than metal. Diamond. If you don't go through a few days and nights, you won't be successful. When he saw Yopi Yong engrossed in looking at the mountain, he also started gossiping. Young man, do you understand the danger and difficulty of checking this door? He advised him to advise you to give up early. Not because of your goal. It's not practical to surrender your life. Yopi Yong heard that but didn't say anything. He just raised a fist. Then punched the stone wall hard. Immediately the whole mountain burst open. With just one punch the mountain was also shattered. Looking at the mountain in front of the leader's eyes, his eyes widened in surprise. While the public figures were running as fast as possible from the scene to avoid being crushed by rocks, Yopi Yong raised the entire rock with one hand and asked, this mountain peak has at least a few tons of ice crystals. Is that enough? If not, I see there are some on the other peaks too. Seeing that, the leader could only quietly raise a sign like but didn't know what to say anymore. When witnessing this scene, everyone screamed at the swallows. People told him to get some ice crystals from the mountain. He thought, why did he even take someone else's mountain? God, the boss was so scared he had to refuse. Don't do it anymore. The main mountain of our tribe has been destroyed. The whole mountain area will be lost. We will lose the place to stop completely. There was Socio, who was immersed in Yopiang's masculinity and praised his master for being so cool. From afar, when seeing this scene, the clansmen of the Wa-Bu clan couldn't stop swaying. They secretly said to each other that this book reader is scary indeed. Even the strongest stronghold could not withstand a single punch from him. Indeed, the man introduced by the holy beast was able to handle the mountain with one punch. Yopi Yong also asked here, what about the other 2 gates? So let's do it a little faster. My disciples are still waiting for me. Seeing that Yopi seemed to be in a hurry, he immediately led him up a mountain to let him destroy the beast to prove his strength. But when he got here again, he immediately aimed for the best king beast in the area. Give it one punch and the king beast only has one belt left. Seeing that, Yopi complained that it was already done. And then you guys told me that we don't need to kill the king beast. Just kill the little beast. Seeing this scene, the patriarch was also startled, while Yopi just waved his hands and said it was done. Then he turned around and left and told him to leave it like that for now. Then Yopi went to the riverbank. Next he stomped his foot hard on the ground. Immediately a waterfall sprayed up. The boat sank deep to the bottom of the river, but just like that, Yopi was pushed up by the waterfall. Yopi looked at it and said that at the third door, the lost treasure that the tribe needed was on that boat. So that's okay. Yopi announced that the final inspection was completed next door. Sosio also asked if my master had obtained the title of Daemok warrior assigned by his grandfather. Witnessing this, the whole tribe immediately knelt down and clasped their hands together to say they would pay their respects to the Fire King. Upon hearing their words, they said Yopi thought they were setting up a deal, so they hastily refused. You said that being a hero is enough. I'm not interested in being a Fire Lord or something. I didn't expect the leader to say it's based on Wabu's rules. The brave man who creates the record will be the Fire Lord. When he learned that Yopi still rejected the Fire Lord, he left. But later I still have something I need Wabu to do. You can also ask me to help. Support the leader of the tribe and immediately respond to Master Wabu's matter. Even if he jumps into a volcano, he will not refuse. Yopi said everyone is just a business relationship. I need your help. I will talk about it later. First of all, you immediately left. Seeing that, the Fire Tribe people respectfully said, Sir. The Fire Tribe leader looked up at the sky and said that the strength of the holy beast De Bung introduced here is indeed at the level of saints. Wabu was able to have such a relationship with the saint because of the grace bestowed by De Bung. He said De Bung was too old and he used countless clones to protect Daemok, most of which gradually dissipated. It's getting weaker and weaker, and soon it will completely lose its fighting power. At that time, who will protect Daemok? The people in the tribe wonder if this little saint will be the one to replace De Bung. Let's go back to the previous tribe. At the same time there was a fire in Wabu's village. People were being oppressed by soldiers who arrogantly rushed in and killed the people. A general told Wabu, you guys colluded with De Bung. The demon is guilty of exterminating the dead family. And you still dare to resist? A villager replied that De Bung has always protected the people. It is the belief of Daemok. You, as Yunguk's army, rely on to the devil. Betrayed the country. Betrayed the royal family. Hearing this, the leader immediately told the royal family that his support was that the Mu Jong sect had fallen and now had to change the dynasty. You trash people, you need to liquidate everything. After saying that, he immediately took action on that young man immediately. That unfortunate man, he immediately stabbed him in the chest with a sword. After that, the soldiers became even more ferocious, killing non-stop. In that moment of life and death, someone lit a smoke signal to inform the leader. The other general saw that and whispered with joy, Very good. I want you guys to ask for help to capture all of Wabu. Then he gathered all the soldiers in one place. The others were extremely worried when they saw the smoke. Their leader gritted his teeth and said after De Bung was weakened, it seems that in Yunguk's army, those surrendering factions have begun to collude with demons and they want to deal with the forces that oppose humanity. The leader of the royal family angrily shouted to everyone to hurry back. Even if everyone in the village had been killed, we would still take revenge. At that time in the village there was a soldier preparing to attack, killing the mother and child. The mother trembled and said, Don't kill me. She was extremely scared and shouted for help. But the soldier still had no intention of sparing the mother and child. He said that if humanity wants to resist demons, there is only one way to die. In a situation where a hair hanging suddenly behind his back, there was a flash of light. It turned out Yopi had appeared and sent the demon away. That soldier returned to his motherland. He quickly kicked his armor away. Another soldier saw that and shouted who it was. Not saying much, Yopi Yong immediately let out a palm in that soldier's direction. He was hit attack immediately. He still didn't have time to hear the answer, so he followed that guy to have friends. Yopi Yong glanced at them and asked who gave you permission to attack Hua Bu. The soldiers appeared behind him, asked the exile. Do you know how serious the consequences of killing Young Uk's soldiers are? Yopi Yong saw that he was too talkative, so he launched another attack. The whole group of soldiers were immediately cut in half and they fell to the ground. It's all over. At this moment the leading general appeared. He had just gone into battle and told the young man to calm down a bit. I know you are very powerful, but you alone cannot fight an entire army. He pointed to his mighty soldiers and said, we are coming. So don't be in a hurry to kill. Maybe both sides will win. You can do whatever you want. I can do it to your satisfaction. You can even take advantage of her strength. When this guy said this, suddenly his head jumped from his neck to the ground. Yopi Yong got angry and said such a lot of words. Even the soldiers were surprised to see that, of course. Now Yopi Yong also told the rest of my disciples that after receiving news from Dae Bung, you colluded with the demon murderer Hua Bu. This originally had nothing to do with me. But Hua Bu and I had a deal with each other. Yopi Yong turned black and told them that anyone who deals with me must die. When he finished saying that, a group of soldiers suddenly rushed forward and tried to attack them. Even if he is powerful alone, there will be times when he will run out of strength. Human sea tactics will tire him to death. Seeing that these group of teenagers intend to attack him, Yopi Yong still stands still and lets them rush in, shouting, killing, killing, in front of his strength. Weak and strong Yopi Yong just threw one punch, and the whole group was blown away. Under the power of the punch, the whole group of soldiers broke into pieces instantly. Your punch even left a piece, the land was swept away. The rest of the crowd saw this and quickly ran away. They ran and shouted monster with one punch, killing 500 people, and quickly ran away. But Yopi Yong had no intention of sparing them. Just one blow from you. The people of the Fire Tribe saw this and were surprised. This hero in exile. One person took down an entire army. Suddenly Socio appeared and asked, Master, am I late? Yopi Yong said it was just the end. When Yopi Yong had just finished handling everything, the patriarch's group had already returned to this place. The patriarch said while breathing that someone had saved us. The little saint. When that person saw what he had done, he and everyone immediately knelt down on the ground to thank the hero for saving his life. We will forever remember this for the rest of our lives if the hero does anything wrong. Hua Bu wouldn't refuse even if he died. But before he finished thanking him, Yopi Yong immediately said, no need to thank me, just ensuring the safety of our transaction. He turned around and told Socio the end of the day in the near future. Yin Gook will completely lose control. And each generation of Mu Jong's sect master will accept a registered disciple of Yin Gook. Young Uk's current king is also a registered disciple of the old sect master. It seems like half a coin. The subject of dealing with Young Uk's army surrendering to demons is also considered Mu Jong's family matter. Socio asked Master Yopi Yong what the next step would be. Yopi Yong told her to follow me. At that time Aung San, the magical beast Dae Bung, is being tied up with a chain by 3 jerks. Dae Bung is trying to hold on to the rock to avoid being dragged away. The bird can't stand it anymore and has to scream in pain. Young Uk's 3 great cavalry asked Dae Bung if you know your crime or not. The left holy cavalry Raksa said colluding with demons betrayed humanity and your 1,000 years of friendship. The right holy cavalry Batuki said the general of the western conquering army of Yin Gook Mok Halsa, the holy cavalry king, has come and hasn't even bowed his head to admit his guilt. Yin Gook Mok Halsa's great general who conquered the west also said, don't think you can escape Aung San. Maybe I'll give it to you. Suddenly the monk Bomsio appeared and grabbed the chain tightly and said, good for a person who spits blood. Dae Bung has been protecting Dae Mok for 30,000 years and still killing demons. The boy pulled the chain and scolded, all of you for colluding with demons and blaming it all on him, and don't dare looking for its true self. I only know how to bully its body. Seeing that, Raksa asked the boy who was coming. Bomsio. The monk held the chain tightly and replied that a monk who exorcises ghosts smells the rotten scent of love on you guys. But next time I will not let you people kill the saints. Seeing that, Raksa pulled the chain and scolded him insolently. Then the two of them rushed to punch each other. Their punches touched each other, flashed bright light. Instantly an entire mountain area was blown up. Raksa said contemptuously that it turned out to be a monk from the autumn. Losing the heavenly book of destiny. He thought he was an expert in the heavenly table and yet dared to worry about so many things. The monk Bomsio said and threw out a book. The boy said there was no heavenly book. Then the boy threw the book in his direction. Can still cut demons and exorcise demons. That book immediately turned into a sword pointing at Raksa. Raksa was not the same type. He used a divine lotus to create a chain and said he was just a small mortal can fight against the three great cavalry that God's power bestowed upon us. Then his chain wrapped tightly around monk Bomsio's sword. In just a moment that sword turned into 100 pages book. Then Raksa shouted loudly and the magic lotus broke out. Hundreds of chains shot out and wrapped tightly around monk Bomsio's body. The boy was thrown to the ground by his chains. Bomsio monk was beaten and his mouth bled out. The boy had to curse loudly. Then Raksa turned out to be extremely powerful and went through heaven and earth to attack monk Bomsio. But suddenly all the chains were broken. Yopi Yang appeared in the sky and said, "Monk, it's been a long time didn't see." Yopi Yang broke the chain and told the monk Bomsio to stand up and talk. When we saw Yopiang's strength we were very surprised. Raksa asked who you are. Do you know that Yunguk's great general is killing demons here? Bomsio monk saw them gossiping like that and reminded sect master Yopi Yang Yopi not to believe his lies. They look like ghosts. Yopi Yang replied to monk Bomsio. Don't be impatient. You three listen clearly. My disciples need to practice when they grow up. Now I need you to cooperate a little. So Yopi Yang raised his finger and said it was a little game. Yopi Yang created a conclusion world around the mountain and told that from now on, the three of you are not allowed to step out of this circle. When they heard this, they looked down on you and said you are crazy. Why are you standing in front of the great Makhalsa? The leader of 100,000 armies dares to be so arrogant. Makhalsa also contemptuously told the young man that this desert is my territory. All rules must be determined by me. But you want me to not be able to go out of the prescribed scope. Okay. Yopi Yang, hearing that, I sincerely advise you not to challenge the rules. Makhalsa did not believe it and ordered his subordinates to go out. So there was a guy who rushed away. He said, if he is good then stop your grandfather, go. He laughed loudly and rushed towards the barrier. After he passed there was a flash of light and his arms and legs left his body behind and went traveling alone. Raksa looked. I couldn't believe it. He exclaimed, how is this possible? Witnessing this scene, Makhalsa immediately raised his hand to heal him. He said to retreat first because this formation is very powerful. Before it can be broken, it cannot be solved. Rushed out. That stupid guy clutching his injured arm in pain and screaming loudly. A few minutes ago he was like a lizard with no arms or legs. Only a few seconds later another arm and another leg had grown come back. This guy's arms and legs are growing so fast. Even if he meets a lizard, he has to call him uncle. When he saw his arms and legs growing back, he shouted that he was saved. Luckily, he also had the power of an ancient ghost. He looked towards of Yopi Yang then scolded this troublemaker. Then he returned to his original place. Bomsio monk witnessed this scene and was also surprised. Exclaimed, oh my god. The bracelet Yopi haphazardly drew is so domineering and Socio is hugging his grandfather tightly and telling him it's okay. I can protect him. Yopi Yang continued, I will continue to say the rules behind this is a game that I teach my disciples. You three are all props. My disciple Socio will enter this circle to accept your challenge. If you can defeat my disciples, the three of you who rely on demons and betray humanity, you can gain a chance to survive for a total of 2 sticks of incense. Half a ring of incense. This will be shrunk by 1/4. Pay attention, Socio. It's about your rules. Do you remember? Socio was crying and hugging his grandfather when he turned around and said to his disciples, remember the first incense stick. We can only defend the second incense stick before we can counterattack. After hearing the rules of this game, the crowd felt no different from playing around by the temple fire. The black man said angrily, only defending and then looking down on our 3 great holy taboos like that. But at this moment Raxa is silently thinking. Mok Halsa reminded her master that this little girl magician formation will definitely not take advantage of her. I was in the defense phase and quickly killed her. In fact, but as soon as he finished saying those words, Socio suddenly turned on unlimited defense magic on top of it. Seeing this scene, the brats immediately tried their best. Luong rushed up to attack her. First, Batuki summoned the Holy Master Fried Armor. Then a golden lion appeared behind him. This guy aggressively picked up his knife and told him to die. Then he threw it, attacked towards Socio. But this attack can't do anything to her. Socio concentrates on increasing his strength and then tells him to continue. He sees that So be very careful and says my master's sword spirit falls in love again, then it seems that we have to fight carefully. Witnessing the actions of the disciple Yopi Yang, he was speechless and said that Socio had no brain to pile up 50 types of defensive magic for himself. It was truly an abuse of spiritual power. How can the opponent's strength be able to hurt her? Socio still overthinking, saying it's not safe enough for me to think about the light and shadow jutsu. Thinking that fire is immune to wind resistance. Am I right? Leaving behind a space trap and not leaving it to become a magician again is really troublesome. That guy was about to sneak attack. He shouted loudly when you lost concentration and sent you on your way. Then he used his thunder ring to smash into Socio's defense. Socio looked at his stupid action and told you tragically. All the magic chain reactions were provoked by you. Then she used all kinds of magic in the world: erectile dysfunction, anger, anaphylactic inflammation, sun shield, force field, high temperature defense, magic ship, fireflower. Diem lost the fire of the intercontinental elastic inflammatory response. Diem saw's heart poured all into his defensive circle. Looking at the terrifying circle in front of this guy made him scared. Just after he rushed forward, a loud explosion happened. The remaining two guys I watched in amazement. In the end, Batuki was burned to ashes and fell to the ground. His entire body turned into ashes, leaving only his armor on the outside. Even my grandfather and monk Bomsio were surprised. The monk Bomsio said that this holy taboo was directly evaporated by the high temperature. Socio, who has no talent for cultivation, was trained by Yopi Yang to such a terrifying level. Seeing this guy's stupid actions, Yopi Yang could only raise her hand to her face and feel humiliated that this stupid boy had directly penetrated Socio's absolute defense space to launch this basic attack. It's suicide. Socio was bored in the sky and said, "Hey, you two big brothers over there. You two just stand there and continue to attack me." But she suddenly realized that at this stage, her master wouldn't allow her to attack quickly, so she could attack me so I could leave work early tonight and I still have a class on royal terminology. Raxa felt provoked. His face darkened and he scolded without knowing how much. Mok Halsa stood in front to stop him, telling him not to be challenged by her moves. He decided to awaken the ancient demon mind inside his body. Until then, will destroy her and all living beings within 100 miles. Mok Halsa secretly thought that I must use the fastest speed to awaken the mind of the ancient demon. Seeing them remaining silent forever, Venerable Bomsio wondered and asked the general above, these 20,000 people were already scared by Socio. Right? They definitely have some killer moves. But because they awakened their power too slowly, Yopi Yang no longer had the patience to tell them to slowly walk away. He ordered his disciple Socio to attack directly. Socio immediately obeyed the order to deal with the two holy knights. Above, Mok Halsa uses 2G network, so he has just updated the new version now. He told everyone to prepare for battle. Raxa immediately obeyed. Socio created a fireman to attack us. She shouted to summon the fire element. Seeing that fire person, Raxa got angry and said that this low-level fire spirit was called here to insult others. Mok Halsa said that the energy response of that thing was very low. It seemed like she was only good at defending. But that was no good. Let down your guard. Socio looked at them and said, "My fate is too weak to rely on you." As she finished speaking, she added countless powers to people. Fire is the fire of bloodthirsty fire and the power of transformation. Japanese sword martial arts, explosive inflammation, temperature rising, 7 Ming lava, tri heart, crazy star nest, hell nest function, commercial resistance weak. Fireman instantly became stronger than ever. Then it roared, then rushed towards them. Bobsio Monk looked at him in panic and said this small thing was like a volcano about to explode. The fireman was like a slow-burning bomb rushing towards them. Mok Halsa pointed to give them strength. Raksa, he said, go fight quickly. Win quickly. He used ancient magic blessing to increase Raksa's strength. Raksa became enhanced and rushed out to confront the fireman. Fireman and Raksa quickly rushed to each other's place.